Hello everyone, this is Mohammed from RTILA. Welcome to RTILA Academia. This is our first series and it's about the first steps with RTILA to give you an overview and to understand the full cycle of how you can use RTILA. So in this first course, we're gonna cover first how to create a project. We will look at the different ways that you can create a project. We will then look at the different panels. We will start with the automation panel, and then we will move to the inspection panel. And then we will also look at the results panel. We have two of them, and I will explain how they work and what's the difference between them. And finally, we will look at how to run a project. So to create a project, you basically have three ways, yeah? The first one, when you launch RTILA, the first screen that you see here is what we call the quick start. So you could put directly a URL here. It will create a new profile and you hit the button start, and that will create your profile. There is a second way, which is when you click on the green new button here, it will load a new menu and you can actually use a template. So we have dozens, if not 100 of public templates to help you start and kickstart an automation, like for example, scrapping Google Map results or LinkedIn or Facebook groups, etc. You will find templates for various scenarios. So you could use a template, you can download it, and then you will create the project out of it. A third way to create a project is to import a project that has been done by a teammate or a client or a provider, and you basically just click import and you load the file, and then you will put it into your project dashboard. So these are the three ways, and I will show you next in RTILA how to do the second one. We're going to use the template as an example. So I'm on RTILA initial dashboard, as you can see here. And like we were talking about, you can click here on the new green button and let's download the public template. So I'm interested into Google Maps results. So you can see that here we have about 57 and we're loading more and more. And you can search for something specific. So I'll search for maps. So we have two of them. And then you just hit the button import template here. And as you can see, it's going to download it and load it into your customer area. I'll move my camera. And this is the project that I have just loaded. And then I can access all the features that we'll see later. But this is basically how you load a public template. Our next step is about the automation panel, yeah? So the automation panel is one of the most important panels, yeah? What it does is it is where you can create what we call automation blocks so that you can design your automation flow. So we have different types of blocks, as you can see here on the right side, and you can rename them. But among the dozens of blocks and functions that we have, here are some of the most used ones. So when you select the go-to URL as a block, that's the block that allows you to navigate to a specific page. Let's say you want to go to Google Image or LinkedIn or any other web page, you type the URL in there, you save it. And when you hit the run button, which is here, this blue button, so this is a go-to URL, that will load the page inside of RTILA. I'll show you later. We also have one of the second most used element is when you click or when you have to double click an element. So RTILA can reproduce that. We have a third action that is very common, which is populate a field. So for example, you want to go into a website and input the login or your email, and then input the password, input any other field that are on a web page. You can input data on it automatically. And then we have a group of actions or blocks that are all about a little bit more advanced features, but we can cover them later in the video. I just want to highlight them, but you can set up variables, which are the three variables you see here. These are external and shareable variables. Actually, they will come from Zapier or Google Sheet, and then this bot will receive that information or those data, and then we'll use them in the flow. So these are exchangeable or API related variables, but we also have, you can build lists, so that you can create loops, and you can also apply conditions and various things that can become more advanced. But it basically allows you to build very complex and very effective and dynamic automations. And finally, the automation block that we need at the end of our flow, or at least before we close the flow, is that we need to extract the results. And extracting the results is a block of its own. It's at the bottom here, as you can see here. So once at the end of every loop, we extract the results, or at the end of every automation. So this is about the automation panel. But usually you don't start by the automation panel, and you don't spend too much time in the automation panel. From experience, we will see that the inspection panel is actually where we spend a lot of time and where we have a little bit more challenges. But before we move to the inspection panel, there is a very important point. You need to develop a habit, and that habit is that every little change you do, click on save. On the top right corner of RTILA, just take that habit. Every block you add, every little thing you change, just click save after each action. That will save you a lot of time of redoing things that you didn't save. Now that is said, let's move to the inspection panel. The inspection panel has a lot of features, and we will just have an overview today, and we will have another video and tutorial on how you can actually do better selection, because the key element and the key challenge in any automation and scrapping activity is to select the right elements on a web page. But we will have a dedicated video on that. So today, let's just cover the flow. As you can see here on the left side, you can create multiple data sets. So in an automation, you could browse different types of websites in a single automation, and you could create different sets to capture data of different websites. So in this case, I'm just using dataset 1, which is the original name that it gets when we open it. Now, once you are inside the dataset, you can create a number of data containers or variables. Yeah. So for example, here, the first one is about the title. I want to capture the title of a book or the title of a product or any type of title. So I give it a name. And then this first element here that finishes with span, this is the CSS selector. This is the HTML code in the background that is actually wrapping that information that I want to grab. And this is how RTILA works. It will identify a location of a data based on a CSS tag or other tags. So this, it does it automatically. We will show you later on. And it will auto-populate as you click the element. But even before you come here and you start creating the variables, you have to first navigate to the page where the data is. And that's a little bit counterintuitive, because when you launch RTILA, you first want to use the automation panel. But actually, the first thing to do is to navigate and load the page where the data is and create all the fields. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but once you do it once, twice, then it becomes more logic. So you navigate there, you load the page, you log in if you have to log in, you do whatever it takes to reach that page where the data is, and then only you can launch the inspection panel and start capturing the data. So you see here, this is how you configure any value that you want to catch, any element. So once you use the selector, you give it a name, and then you have some advanced options that we can cover in another course. But basically, you can put conditions, filters, to catch just an email what has a shape of an email. So you can have regular expressions that you can use to isolate a phone number, to isolate an email address, to isolate a URL of a website. We have all those things that we can show on the next course. And finally, when you want to catch an element, you have to select what type of content it is. So very often it's going to be inner text. So it's going to be a text like a name, so alphanumeric information, but you could also capture the URL or the address of an image. In that case, you will select link href. So that's how it works. And once you have finished a data set and you have accommodated for all the data that you want to catch and you've saved it, remember, always save, then you can go back to the auto panel and include your extract results block. And when you call that extract results block, you can specify if you want to catch and save all the data sets or only one of them, and that will be done back in the automation panel. But this is how you capture the data. Next step is that when you are is about the inspector's results, the results panels. So this is very useful. So in this case, you see, I already navigated inside RTILA to this book catalog that I want to scrap. And once I'm on the book catalog, all the elements that I am interested in, they are physically present right now. So I can start to create on the left every container that like we saw before. So in this case, for example, this is for the image. It identified that the CSS selector in this particular case is .thumbnail. And then the result panel, the inspector result panel, will already populate, as you are working live on that website, it will populate the data. So if you got it wrong, if you're not using the right selector, if you're not using the right content type, it will be empty. But once you get it right, once you select the right elements on the left side, then you will start to see the data coming up here, and you have like a preview of a couple of them, whatever is on that page. So that confirms the validity of your selectors, and then you can be confident to call them inside the automation panel. So that's the first type of results panel. We have a second type of result panel, which is once you have run a project and the bot and the automation has finished its job, now you have data that you want to recover, that you want to download. So you have to go from the project panel, click on results here, and then for every automation, you will find a result line. And you have this little arrow here, which you can click. It will open a new page where you can preview all the results of this specific automation task that was launched, that has finished. And then you can just click export, and it will export into a CSV file. But that CSV file, you can easily open it on Excel, on Google Sheet, and then start to manipulate and reach the data that this RTILA automation would have done. So this is about the results panels. We can now look at how you run a project. So we saw that you can create it with a quick start, or you can import an RTILA project, or you can, like I did before, download and use a template. And once you do that, your projects will appear in this project panel. And you have this section here where you have a number of configuration and action items. And in particular, this play button here is the button that will allow you to run that automation that you have just finished building. And we have two types or two modes of running an automation or a bot. You can run it locally on your computer. So it will require that your computer stays on and connected to the internet to do the job. And it will use your local IP address unless you have a VPN or you use some proxies. We have some settings. You can include some proxies if you want to change your IP address. But essentially, it's going to use your computer to run the task until it finishes. We have a second new feature that just came out with our version 6, which is a cloud run. So you can upload your bot, and when you click cloud run, it's going to upload the bot online and give you a reference. And once you have uploaded the bot online, the bot and the automation is going to be able to run from our cloud servers in a secure way using premium proxying and so on. So it gives you a very stable environment to run your automation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without having to on your computer. And then you come back after a couple of days. Even we have some automation that run for days, literally, and you come back after days, and you can download the results into your desktop from the results panel. So that's how you run a project. Okay, now let's look at all the steps with the real use case. So let's start with creating a project, and I will download an existing template. So I go here, public template, we load all the templates, and I'm interested into a simple example today because we just want to review the basics of the automation panel and the basics of the inspection panel, and then getting a result and then downloading it. So I'm going to go for a very simple book scrapping example, and we have a book template. So I can take basic details example, this one. Let's download it. Okay, now it's in my panel here, and if I move my camera a little bit, we will be able to customize it. So I will use inspect to open the inspector and automation panels. So this is about a single page, and we want to capture some data out of that page. And as you can see out of the block, when you get the template, it has already all the variables and all the properties and containers selected to capture certain data. As you can see here, it's organized in columns in the results panel. But basically, the first property is the category. So when I click here on category, you can see it highlighted here. And then the second data that is being caught is the name of the book. And again, it's highlighted in green yellow here. And then it's capturing the image. And you can see the little bit yellowish bordering. And also you can see here that it already recognized the image tag to find that data. The next one is the price. It's capturing this price here. And it's capturing the stock, the availability of stock. And here there is a little filter that has been applied. We can cover it on another video, because normally it should have caught in stock and then in bracket 19 available. But as you can see in the result, it's only saying 19. So there is a rule applied here, or a filter, or a condition. It's a regular expression that will basically capture just the digits and remove all the other elements and give you a clean 19 as a value. We can cover this later. There are different ways of doing it. The last variable that they are catching is some HTML blocks, this block here, but we don't need that. So let's delete everything and let's do our own little properties and containers and data that we want to catch from this particular page. So we start from scratch. I'll add the first property, and what I want first is the title of the book. So I just give it a name like this for my table. Title of the book. You can see that it added the title of the book here. And I click here in CSS selector. And once I do that, I go and I find this field here. And I click. And the Requiem red has been populated. That means that we're getting the right selector. In this case, it's the H1 selector. Let's now move on and capture the price. So I'm going to create another property here. Let's call it price. And then I'm going to go to the CSS selector and I'm going to highlight this element here. So now I got the price, but there is a problem. You can see that here it's not only one price, and it's not the price that I want only. The reason is that this particular tag .price/_color is being used for other prices in the suggested products below the further down in the page, and I don't want these prices. I want the prices of this main product. So what I do is that RTILA has this simple solution that you can click again on what you don't want and it will remove it from the selection. So I don't want these prices. I just click one of them and it got them out of the selection. Now I only have one result, which is correct. It is this one. And you can see here 22.65 pound. We got it right. Let's now just grab the image. So I'll call it the image URL. I click on CSS selector. I click on the image and it got it for me without any effort. But as you can see here, it's even getting like more than one images. It's getting 6 images in total. So it's not good because again, this selector EMG is being used by the other images of the other products. So again, the same trick. I click again on these guys and they're out of the selection. I only want that main image. And that main image has actually a different selector that I didn't need to look for inside the source code. RTILA found it by differentiation with the others. So now I got the right one and I have only one result. So I'm getting the right image for the right product and you can see it's populated right here. So let's save this. Okay, so now we have the data that we want. We catch it with the selector on the page. You remember you have to go to that page where the elements are first before you start to catch your data. And actually the only command we need right now here is to extract. So I look for extract results and I add it. And what it will do is that when I will run the bot, it will go to this page, it will catch all these elements, and then it will extract them into the results section, and I will show you right there. So this is a very simple automation. It doesn't have a loop. We're not going through 100 of products because we can cover the loops and the iterations on another video. This is really like an overview, a quick overview. So let's just run this automation, get the results just to validate our first steps training. So now I saved, yeah. I'm going to close. I will go back to my RTILA project panel. And this is the run button, you remember? So I could run it locally on my computer or I can run it on the cloud. For easiness, we're going to run it locally. So I just hit run, and you can see that it's going to open that page for that book. Right now, it has already captured the 3 data. It's very fast. And so the queue is done. There was only one in the list. If there were 100, it would have run through the 100 or the thousands or even hundreds of thousands. We do some automations. Now that I have finished my quick automation, I can go to results here. And you can see that here, there is the result that I have just run manually. It has caught one result. And now I can go here to preview and extract. And indeed, that's my Requiem book, the Requiem Red. I got the price, title, I got the image. I'm good. Now I want to download this. So I click here, export all, and then I save it as single book script. I put it in downloads folder, and now I can go into my downloads folder and I find it here. Let's open it, and I have my data in Excel. So this is very simple, but if we had much more results and if we had a loop, you easily can get an Excel file with hundreds of thousands of lines or dozens of thousands of lines with everything. So you have all the 3 columns, and then you have each line will be one data. So this is how it works. As you can see, it's very straightforward, and we will address looping and mass URL scrapping and logging through different pages on different courses. That's all for today. These were the first steps for RTILA.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check the description below for Lifetime Deal link. Also like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more video.